Alright, in this video, I want to talk more about the rapture, but what I want to do is to add some more information because this is the first actual year and time I've actually thought about the rapture and it actually happening. So I want to give some things that I've been learning, and it has to do with the feasts or the appointed times of God that have to do with this time of year, and it has to do with the Feast of Trumpets, Atonement, and Tabernacles. And that these are all connected because the Feast of Trumpets is actually the start of the 10 days of awe. You see, what happened on the 7th of October was the new moon was sighted, and that was in the night of the 7th, which was a Thursday, which actually means that it's Friday according to God's time, because God's time, the day starts at sunset. So at sunset Thursday, when they saw the new moon, it's actually Friday. So that following Friday would have been the first day of the month. It would be the Sabbath, and that would be the first day of trumpets. And then Saturday would be the second day of trumpets. And then you have 7 days of what are called awe, where you're supposed to self-reflect because those days of trumpets was to get you to know that, hey, there's not much time left, right? Judgment's coming because that's what atonement is for. It's going to be a judgment, and it's going to make atonement for the just and make atonement for the unjust. And it gives you time to self-reflect and to repent and to work things out with God. And then after that, which it would be on, what's today's the 15th? It was on the actual 9th. No, it's going to be actually in the future. I went backwards instead of forwards for some reason. 7 days from the last day of Feast of Trumpets would be this Sunday, which would be the 17th. That would be atonement. And that's a possible rapture date because we are told that the dead are going to rise and that we're taken up at the last trump. And this 10-day feast ends with a trumpet blast on the Day of Atonement. That can be the final trumpet, and it could be actually the trump of God. Another thing is that how that makes sense because of the trumpet, but also what makes sense is that there might be some kind of 5-day period between us being taken and us actually being into heaven, because that 5 days later after atonement, which would be on Friday, next Friday, not today, would be the start of the Feast of Tabernacles. And that's a 7-day feast. And it's interesting because this Tabernacles is about dwelling with God, or God dwelling with us. And that could very well be when we actually enter into heaven, and that represents the 7 years of the tribulation. So it seems to make a bit of sense there. Because the whole Feast of Trumpets had to do with a wedding. And the trumpet blasts are letting you know, hey, the wedding's going to happen. Get ready, get your garments, because if you don't have a garment, you're not coming in. And there's a lot of people who don't even care, don't even pay attention, because a lot of times this trumpet blast is at night and people are sleeping and they just kind of ignore it and roll over. And then atonement happens. That can be right when everybody comes into the wedding, and then the door's closed. It's too late. Once you saw everybody go in and you didn't want to go in, you weren't ready, you're locked out. And then 5 days later, that's when Tabernacles happen. So that's probably when it's official. Satan's down here into the body of the Antichrist. He's revealed. Things are going on with the third temple in Israel. And if it doesn't happen, by this Friday, this Sunday, this Friday. I would imagine it's going to happen this time of year next year. And the reason why I say that is because there's a fella, I'll put the link to his video in the description, actually was following the Shemitah cycles, which are 7-year periods. Like Jacob, he had to work a Shemitah cycle, which was 7 years to get his wife, I believe Leah, but he ended up getting Rachel, or I got the names mixed up there. He got the older sister first when he was trying to get the younger, and then he had to work another Shemitah cycle, which is 7 years, a week of years, to get the wife that he actually wanted. And so yeah, he was following those Shemitah cycles, and we're showing what was happening with Israel during these times, and he was showing that what he noticed is that whatever was in the sun, moon, and stars that you could see up in the constellations, what was going on there, actually had an effect on what was going to happen for the next Shemitah cycle. So for, let's say, this 7-year period, you started to see things in the stars that showed, like what he described in the last 7 years was 2 stars of Bethlehem that had not been seen in 2,000 years, but there was 2 of them spotted. And he was showing, well, that's probably going to have something to do with an Antichrist showing up and then the real Christ showing up, because there's a fake and a real one. So the 2 are probably showing something like that. So we're probably going to see the Antichrist show up first, and then Jesus comes back after. He's also showing the rapture sign with Virgo and the sun and the moon, and that showing up twice, where the child within Virgo is taken up. I believe he was represented by Jupiter. And then he was showing the blood moon tetrarchs that happened on the feast days of Passover and trumpets, the Feast of Trumpets and the Feast of Passover, 2 years in a row, and in between was solar eclipse, lunar eclipse. He was like, yeah, so all these signs going on, this is telling us what's going to happen 7 years after. So for 7 years, you get told what's going to happen for the following 7 years. And the thing is that starts in 2022. So it makes sense that it could happen next year. Things might get a little worse for us for the next year. But, right when all the trouble's going on and it looks like we're going to be taken out by this world, I think that's when God comes in to be the hero. It makes it all action-packed and very exciting. So don't lose faith and study this stuff more. Don't let, we weren't raptured and start mocking and scoffing or lose faith and just don't worry about it. No, look into it. Like, why did people believe it was going to happen? Was it possible that it could? Let's look into it and figure it out. Put more brains to it, pray about it, and I'm sure God will reveal things to us. But He'll probably do it on His time. And yeah, I think these things where people saying the rapture happens, it doesn't happen. It's to weed out the people who they're not really looking for Jesus. They're looking to just hopefully make it to heaven. Right? They're not looking for Jesus and excited about Jesus. They're excited about going to heaven and not having to deal with any of the sufferings of this world anymore. The kind of people who they just feel a little bit scared, so they're following along with everybody else. There's something going on with them, and they fall away real easy. So God does this so that those people can fall away. They can be revealed. Where He separates the wheat from the tares and the sheep from the goats. Right? These little things you got to deal with what comes with the territory. Take it on the chin there and roll with it. There's going to be the scoffers and mockers, and just it's going to be worth it in the end. I'm pretty sure Noah had to deal with it worse. 120 years of building an ark. I'm pretty sure people were making fun of him. So, yeah, with that being said, thanks for watching and take care.